so much for joining me. Today we're going to be doing, or whenever you're watching this, we're going to be doing some yoga. No surprise. I think it's going to be a little bit more moderate, not super gentle, but not super intense. I think last week I did a pretty gentle one, so I'm going to do a little different this week. So find that comfortable seat. Let yourself settle in on your breath. You've got all the things around you that you need to support you. You've got as much room as a yoga mat, hopefully a yoga mat that's a good stickiness for you. Some yoga blocks to help with support. So you have blankets to help with cushion, and you've got something to drink to keep you hydrated. And when you're ready, you're going to set aside all that's going on in the world, all that's going on in your life as much as you can, and just be with your breath and your body right in the present moment. The present moment is right here, right now. Cultivate that connection. Treat yourself with kindness, compassion, and love. That constant reinforcement is what helps to keep you rooted in yourself and also helps to keep you moving in a forward direction. You're breathing through your nose or your mouth or some combination of your nose and mouth. You're comfortable in your legs, always taking time to rearrange as you need to, and trying not to find yourself with tingly feet or toes, so definitely making sure that you arrange yourself so you're not getting tingly toes. And as much as you can, you're just staying in the awareness of your body and your breath. You're practicing that connection to yourself. You're actively setting aside your thoughts, your worries, your cares, everything to just be with your breath and your body. And that time that you do that, that acts as a reset, a replenish, a relieve, so that you can then completely come out when you're ready, right? Like, so you have done your thing, and then you need to set yourself up for rest and that reset. And then after the rest and the reset, you go back out and you do your thing. And so taking the time to move your body, keep it conditioned, keep it limber, that is always time well spent. Stay with that awareness of yourself, of your body. You're pressing yourself down into your mat on your inhale. You're lifting yourself up out of yourself and the mat on the exhale. You're engaging your girdles by pulling the tail down, lifting the hip flexors, lifting the heart, gently pulling the blades down. Keep lifting that navel up, away. It's like you're trying to lift it up out of the pelvis. There might be a gentle pressure on the tops of your shoulders as your collarbone slides apart. And still you're breathing full and deep, letting that 3-part yoga breath where you fill up lower third, middle third, upper third, and then release upper, middle, lower, letting that help to keep you anchored in the present moment. It also helps to nourish your body, to prepare your body for movement, to support you while you're moving. And all of that work you're doing is you depositing deep into your muscle memory, a deposit of conditioning so that you can withdraw on it later in life. Your hands can make their way to your heart, or they could rest on your body or out to the side. It really doesn't matter. Take 3 big, full, deep breaths. And then wherever your hands are, they are coming to your heart. And then we're going to inhale and sweep and gather. Keep the girdles engaged so you already start to feel that gentle pressure and that stretch. Pull into your heart center a couple more times. Inhaling, exhaling, 3rd time. And then let yourself unwind from that seated position, that centering position. Make sure that your feet are not tingly, your toes are not tingly. You might feel a little sensation, but they should never be uncomfortable. And sometimes it takes a while. You got to figure out, if they are getting tingly, don't have them so close to your body, right? There's no rule that says they have to be tucked up next to your body. Your legs can be extended out a little bit in front of you, and that is totally fine. They don't have to be even. One can be pulled in, one can be out, they can be really bent. You're still using them as a support. I'm going to leave my legs kind of relaxed and away from my body, but not pulled in, and then using those blocks, I'm going to use them to reach towards, coming forward into that great big hinged forward fold to start with. So I'm hinging, getting that nice stretch. I'm trying to press down with that girdle, with that lower girdle, pulling the girdle down and lifting it up on the front body, and starting to feel that stretch down the back body. Try to feel even in your glutes. Try to keep your legs active. Inhale and exhale. Keep that navel lifted. Keep that heart lifted. You're going to, if you're really far forward, you might need to lift yourself up a little bit. I am going to rearrange my legs just so I've got room so I can walk over to the right. I am still pressing down with that left glute. I've still got the girdle engaged, both girdles, inhaling and exhaling, and then bringing myself back through center to then walk yourself to the other side. Press down through that opposite glute as you reach the opposite way, so you get that nice stretch. You're still lifting the heart, still lifting the navel, and then bring yourself back to center to lift yourself up into that upright position. And then making sure, if your legs are uncomfortable, arranging them how you need to. We're going to lift and bring those arms up, and then exhale, twist to one side. Doesn't matter. Inhale, which side you go to first. Exhale, stay with that breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And then you're going to pause. I'm going to pause to the right. I've got my left hand on my right leg. I've got my right arm behind. I'm looking gently over my right shoulder, so I'm not putting any weight on this right arm. I'm going to lift this right arm, bring it up, and then duck that left shoulder down towards that left knee, and then I feel it on both sides, and I got to come up a little bit because on that left side I feel a little extra stretch. But hopefully you feel this on your right side too, both sides. Inhale and exhale. Stay twisted as you come up. You're going to unwind. Just take a moment, and if you didn't go to the right, to begin with. Just remember which way you went. And then inhale, lift, and we're going to go side to side a couple times. And then we're going to pause on the opposite side, my right hand somewhere on my left leg. I am trying to keep my navel pointed between my legs, and I am rotating my heart. I'm going to lift that back arm, and then I'm going to duck down towards that right knee. It is a big stretch. Inhale and exhale, stay twisted, lift yourself up and unwind. Pausing, your hands can be wherever, feel good, you know, the old, make the 2 fingers and then plug in. Then you feel the power. I love that. Inhaling and exhaling, stay with your breath, stay with how you feel. Make sure that you're keeping yourself nice and hydrated, so get a drink of water as you need it. We're going to come over onto the hands and knees, pressing yourself back into your child. Breathing full and deep. Find that resting posture, but you're still engaged. And you see me reaching up over these blocks, and you don't have to do that. In fact, it adds quite a bit of intensity, I think. But if you really, 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 really want that intensity, and it doesn't, you don't strain any joints, then use those blocks to get a little bit more of a stretch. Inhaling and exhaling, walking your knees as wide apart as feels good. You're still pressing yourself back to find that support. You're still lifting and reaching yourself up to find that length. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. You're going to lift yourself up into your stable table. This means knees underneath hips, hands spread wide underneath those shoulders. Do not hyperextend the elbows. And move through a few little teeny tiny cat and cows with that pelvis to find yourself in that place of support that's pulling that tail down and lifting those hip flexors, and then pull those blades together, pull them apart, and then find that place of support, and then your cat and cow is in the middle. So you're holding those girdles, those hyper flexible low back and upper back. You're holding them in support and trying to get the movement more in the middle back. You're not hurting your elbows. You're pressing evenly into the ground, and you're trying to then also lift up. You're always doing both. You're always grounding down and lifting up. A couple more. And then pause in a neutral position. Don't hyperextend the elbows. You can, of course, though, if it's more comfortable, walk your hands and your knees a little bit further apart, just so you can have some room to start to make some circles. You're still not hyperextending those elbows. Always careful. And if this does bother your knees, you know, you're not doing it. You're only bringing yourself forward as much as feels good, and then pressing yourself back. And you want to go in all the directions. So make sure you explore all the directions. So you are staying with your breath. You cannot mess this up. As long as it does not hurt, then you are moving however feels good. Getting that movement. Maybe it's not even a circle. Maybe it's more of a figure 8 or the infinity. Inhale and exhale, always protecting the joints, always protecting the elbows, the wrists. And then you're going to pause. Eventually you're going to be done with movement. Find yourself coming back into your child, resting completely. If that caused any distress to your limbs, especially your wrists, your delicate wrists, You're not being harsh. You're gently winding your wrist around, letting those tendons and that joint move around a little bit more. And I love it when it cracks. You might not like it. As long as it doesn't hurt, then cracking is okay. I know people think, though, that if they're cracking, that means they're getting old. Well, I actually think if you're cracking, that means you're moving. All right, back up into that table position. Make sure that you are pressing evenly into the mat with both arms coming from your shoulders. Keep that lower girdle engaged by pulling that tail down. When you do that, you should, I feel a little stretch. And then lift that hip flexor. I feel that engagement in that, it's deep inside. And I'm holding especially that hyper flexible low back in that place of support. And I keep lifting that navel up into my body, and then also physically trying to like move it up in space. And then keeping that awareness of your heart and your navel pointing down. Press through that left leg, bringing yourself into that spinal balance or half spinal balance. Stay lifted up off those arms. Only if it serves you, then reach that opposite limb. You are staying lifted. You are not hyperextending on that left elbow that's holding you up. Keep pressing through that heel. Keep trying to pull that right shoulder back. Inhale and exhale. And then you're going to bring that right hand down. You're going to bend that left knee and then pull that left knee towards your left arm. Stay lifted on your right side. It might not be as high as your shoulder. It might only be your elbow. Really try to stay lifted off that right side. You're not dipping down. Inhale and exhale. You can pull that leg towards you, going in little tiny circles or little tiny pulses. Try to keep the knee and the foot in the same plane. Take another inhale and then press it back for that sweet, sweet relief, and then drop those toes over to the right. And then here's where I want you to keep squaring, pulling that tail down, squaring the navel and the heart to the floor, and then look over that left shoulder. Inhale and exhale. And then you're going to take a complete and total reset back into your child. If it would feel better to reach your arms down by your sides and let your whole self round and reset, takes a moment to do that. Notice how you feel. Hopefully you're feeling how one side, after working that side, maybe feels a little bit more open. It's one of those things, though, like there's so much sensation going on. Sometimes it's hard to become aware of exactly where the sensation is. But that is why you practice. All right, up into that table position. I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to stay pressing evenly down and then pressing that right leg back now. Inhale and exhale. Lifting that left arm, trying not to dip down into that right side. And if at any time you want to bring one of your limbs down, please do. Pay attention to that back leg. It's not flying up. It's staying nice and straight behind you. Inhale and exhale. And then you are going to bend it. Bring that left arm down. Pull that right leg towards your right arm. Foot and knee in the same plane. That can be taxing, quite taxing. Keep pulling that tail down even with that leg lifted. Inhale and exhale. It's hard to put the connection in your head how you're lifting at your butt, not just lifting like your heavy knee and your heavy foot and ankle. You are lifting at your butt. All right, press it back to then drop it down to the right side. Keep that navel and heart pointed towards the floor. And I think I told you, had you go to the wrong way, that last stretch. But, you know, you are doing whatever feels good. I think I had you go to the left, and I should have had you go to the right, because now I want you to go to the left. So, but maybe I didn't. But hopefully you feel even. Sorry, bring yourself back down. Rest in that child. Take that complete and total reset moment. Get a drink of water as you need it, inhaling and exhaling. And then either staying on your knees and either curling your toes to come up to full plank, or just pulling yourself forward into half plank. You're not hyperextending those elbows. Whatever you're doing, you're pulling that tail down, lifting those hip flexors. Keep the girdles engaged and release down to the belly. Keep the lower body super heavy as you pull up into that baby cobra. Rest down one cheek, pull up into that baby cobra. Don't let your elbows fly out. Rest down opposite cheek. And if you want to pull up to a fuller cobra or even into an up dog, do not hurt any joints. And then you're going to decide, how do I want to go back into a downward dog? Do I want to press back into a child and then lift up? Or do I want to pull into a downward dog from that cobra? And it is completely up to you. Inhale and exhale. Breathe full and deep. You are lifting yourself up off your limbs. You're walking your limbs. You're keeping the balls engaged and not letting the toes do all the work. Breathing full and deep. Your heels are heavy. Your elbows not hyperextended. Your shoulders engaged. Take an inhale and pull yourself forward into plank. Exhale, release down to the belly via knees or not. Inhale, lift up again into your cobra or an up dog, and then exhale, either release down or pull yourself into that downward dog, and then let yourself rest back down in child, resting those wrists, especially if you feel it. Even if you are lifting yourself up off of your joints, you are still probably going to feel it. So you're always being good, kind, and gentle with yourself. Inhale and exhale. All right, the next time you're ready, if you're not already, you're going to come up into downward dog, or you're going to come up just to table to step yourself up into standing on top of your mat. It just doesn't matter how you get there, whether you step up from hands and knees or whether you step up from downward dog. Play around with finding that balance. You see me pulling forward and back. It's almost like I'm going to fall forward in a somersault, or I'm going to fall back on my ass. You are trying to find the place in between there, and I'm not going towards all the way to my toes. My toes are staying lifted. Keep those knees bent in order to help with the hamstrings, and then let yourself hinge down into that forward fold. Keep trying to bring your upper body as close to your lower body as you can. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay with that awareness of your feet right underneath your hips. You're going to stop with the movement. Keep those knees bent in order to help protect your delicate hamstrings, and then put the weight in your back body as you inhale halfway into that flat back. Stay lifted. The legs do not have to be like super straight. They can be super bent. Exhale, come into that forward fold. Inhale and exhale. Take another inhale, halfway, flat back. Put that weight in your back body. Exhale, come towards the floor. The next time we're going to come up in that great big reverse swan dive, unless you want to come up in steps, pressing yourself up, only reaching up above your head. If that is something that serves you, if you feel dizzy, then don't do it. Come to your mountain after reaching up. You're pressing down into those balls and heels. So you might need to move around in order to find that place of those feet right underneath those hips. Lift your digits, spread them wide. Find that place of connection. The balls and the heels, the four corners, the tripod, whatever makes sense in your head. I'm doing like a little circular thing. My hips are moving, but really I'm moving around the ball of my foot, keeping my knees protected. I stretch those digits away from my foot to bring them forward for that gentle grip on the mat. Keep the kneecaps pulled up into your thighs. And then you get to that first girdle, that lower girdle. You are engaging muscle and framework, dropping the back body and lifting the front body. It is a combination of muscle engagement and framework. So it's not just you squeezing the bejesuses out of your glutes. It is you engaging the inner framework, muscle and framework, in order to find that place where you are a solid base. Navel dimples down. You are stiff as a board. And then navel dimples up. You are light as a feather. Lift that heart up out of your navel. Drop those blades. You might feel this gentle pressure on the tops of your shoulders. You're not squeezing your blades together, but they're definitely engaged. And then your arms are coming right out of the sockets, hanging at your sides, keeping that nice soft elbow. Inhale and exhale. Your palms turned in the same direction as your heart, so everything is open in that receiving posture. And then from the top of your space, so you've got room to step back, we're going to go through a few sun salutations. Stay with that engaged lower body and that lifted upper body. So not only are you always rooting down, but you're also always rising up. It is a weird, strange combination that makes so much sense once you really connect into it. All right, stay with your breath, inhaling, lifting, and coming into as much of that back bend as feels good. Exhaling, you are swan diving, hinging into that forward fold. Stay with that breath. Lift up halfway, flat back. Come back down to step back into your plank, knee down plank, or you're coming back into table, because that can always happen, to then pull forward into knee down plank to release. Keep those girdles engaged. Only lift up. If you just want to do a baby cobra, just do a baby cobra. If you're feeling like doing more of a bigger cobra, do it. And then lift yourself into your downward dog. Or you're pressing yourself back into your child. Inhale and exhale. Remember, the toes not doing the work. It's all about the balls. Make your way to the front of your space. Halfway, flat back. Reach for the toes, and then you're coming up above. Remember to engage. Stiff as a board with the lower body. Light as a feather with the upper body. You're coming into that forward fold. You're lifting up halfway, flat back, and you're coming back down to step back into plank, knee down plank, releasing to the belly. Keep the girdles engaged. Only lift up as much as feels good to come back into that downward dog. We've done it twice now. Inhale and exhale. I love to do things in 3. Come to the front of the space, coming into that forward fold. Make sure you feel solid as you lift up halfway, flat back. Come back down for the toes, and then come up above your head. And if you feel dizzy, you do not have to do these great big reaches. You could always come through center, come to that forward fold, bringing yourself down, lifting up halfway into that flat back, putting that weight in that back body. Bring yourself down, step yourself back, plank, knee down plank to release. Keep those girdles engaged, shoulders out of your ears. Keep that lower body heavy as you lift into the Cobra or the up dog, and then you pull yourself into the downward dog, 2 to 3 breaths, and then you make your way down to rest in child completely. Inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath, with your body, with the present moment. There's no need to rush. It's good that you're spending time helping to stay, connected to yourself and your body, so you recognize what's going on, so you're not so disconnected. Inhale and exhale. You're going to decide if you want to come through downward dog and come into a 3-legged dog with that right leg up into the air, or if you want to do a 3-legged table with that right leg up in that 3-legged table. Even step that left leg forward a little bit, lifting that right leg. Inhale and exhale. I'm going to swing it up between my hands. I'm going to smear down that left foot. I'm going to start with lining up heels, pressing evenly through both feet to lift up into that warrior one. Keep that nice 45-degree angle with that right knee. Use that right ball. Hands are going to come to just like you're putting them in your back pockets. And so this, if you're putting them in your back pockets, I want you to lift that heart, engage those blades, and so you feel it down your shoulder, right? Down your arm. As long as you don't strain, you can clasp your hands. But I see so many people hyperextending everything that I don't really I try to teach no hyperextension. All right, you're going to pull yourself forward into your humble warrior. Inhale and exhale. Try to keep those hips even. All right, let those arms go. You're going to lift yourself then into that warrior two. So you might need to adjust your stance and how you're holding yourself between your right and your left leg. Still has that 45-degree angle of that front right leg at this point. Now it's more of right heel, left arch is lined up, and you are stacking yourself on top of each other, right over your pelvis, your navel, your heart, your head, right over that. Inhale and exhale. We're going to hinge into that side angle. So this is where you bring that right elbow to that right thigh, or you can bring that right arm down and lift that left arm. Inhale and exhale, breathing full and deep. Lift yourself, keep that awareness of how you are stiff as a board in that lower body. Flip that right palm, come into that reverse warrior, and then lift yourself by lengthening that front leg. You're still stiff as a board, and now you are going to hinge into triangle over that right leg. Inhaling and exhaling. And then this is where you're going to make sure, and I should have said, make sure you've got plenty of room. And I think I should be able to do this because I'm totally aware that that dresser's right there. And then you're like, why even do it if you're going to hurt yourself? I'm not going to hurt myself, and you're not going to either. You're going to come in steps. I've got that left arm down on the block to keep me lifted. I am stepping that back foot up a little bit, and then even bringing that block a little bit higher so then I can lift into that revolved triangle. And then it's revolving, and then it's floating, and then you're going to bring yourself into that standing split. Inhale and exhale. This is a hinge with that leg lifted, and then bend that front leg. Gently bring those toes down. You're back in that runner's lunge. You're going to decide, do I want to step back and move through a flow? Do I just want to go to downward dog and notice how I feel? Do I want to drop down to my knees and rest in child and notice how I feel? In that rest, you are breathing full and deep and letting that oxygenated blood move around, and then you're going to decide, I'm only turning around so I stay facing you. How you want to do that three-legged dog on the other side, if you even want to, because you can be like, no thanks, it's making me want to vomit. So you can also be in three-legged table with that left leg up. And then you're going to bring it through. Doesn't matter how many steps it takes. Use those blocks. Get those legs into that place of support. You're smearing down that back leg. You're keeping that right glute pulled forward as that left glute comes back in order to lift up into that warrior one. And then once you feel steady and stable, then you're just bringing your hands to your back pockets. It does feel a slight stretch on your shoulder as you come down then into this humble warrior. Inhale and exhale. Pay attention to both glutes. Are they even? I love to touch myself so I can feel that. And then you are steady. You are letting those arms come down, and then you are opening up to your warrior two. You might have to adjust your stance, keeping that good 90-degree angle. Look for the balls of both feet. Hinge. That's what this is. It's a hinge. You are hinging over warrior two legs into side angle. Breathing full and deep. And then lift. You're going into reverse warrior. Inhale and exhale. This is a beautiful side stretch, not a back bend. Lift yourself with that torso. Lengthen that front left leg now, and then hinge into triangle. Inhale, exhale, breathing full and deep. And then here's where you play around. Bring that back leg forward a little bit so you're nice and balanced. Use the blocks or a table or the wall. Don't hit your head. Coming into that revolved, floating, balancing half moon or triangle, and then into the standing split. This is another hinge. To then bring those feet down. To then once again make your way into plank. Knee down plank, or pull right into downward dog. If you move through a flow, pull into that dog for 2 to 3 breaths. Once you are done, you are going to make your way down and rest completely. Inhale, exhale, stay with your breath. Drink your water. Make sure that you are completely reset. Your breath has come to a manageable level. Your heart rate is at a manageable level. You're trying not to have racing thoughts, so you're trying to find that space between your thoughts. If you can't get your thoughts to settle down, that's okay. It happens. Just bring yourself back to your breath. Knowing that you're doing it right if you're practicing. Inhale and exhale. And then lift yourself from that child position, so down on your knees. This is a great place for blocks. To then bring yourself into that squat position. So you're going to have to come up onto your feet. And then I still need to open up my hips a little bit. Ooh. I don't know if that one's going to pop. So as low as you can get with your whole foot on the ground, still try to find the weight in that back part of your foot, lifting that front body, bearing down with that back body, and breathe a few breaths in your squat. Now, if you cannot get this low with the whole foot on the floor, then come to where you can get the whole foot on the floor. Put that weight in that back body. Keep lifting that front body. And you are sitting back, coming into as much of a squat as you can. This is where you can practice sitting back into that back body. And then maybe eventually you'll be able to get down to a little bit lower position. And I know this is a lot and that we're still hanging out here, but I really want that oxygenated blood to get deep into that muscle that doesn't typically get that oxygenated blood for just a couple more breaths. And then wherever you're at, you're going to bring yourself up to standing. So if you want to come up through that forward fold and then lift up halfway into that flat back, hands above knees, press yourself up into that awkward chair and then come to standing. I recommend that over rolling. Rolling can put a little bit too much strain on your spine. It could lead to degradation, and you don't want that because it's going to happen anyway, right? So I say try to avoid as much as you can. All right, you're coming into that standing on 2 feet in order to then practice a little bit of balance. And this is going to be standing pigeon, and blocks are a great help here with standing pigeon. I'm going to come to the side and do it here. We're going to start with pressing back into that awkward chair position, and then from that awkward chair, picking up that right leg, that right ankle comes to that left knee, and then sitting back. And then this is where you can have, you're reaching for the blocks, or maybe you've got a chair, inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath. Sitting back evenly into both glutes, trying to keep that right knee and that right hip both open. Inhale and exhale. This is a hinge too. This is balancing hinge with pigeon legs. All right, now try to challenge yourself to come up, to standing, and then take that right leg up as high as you can. I am resting it on blocks right here. I'm not putting any weight on those blocks. And then bring that foot down. Notice how you feel, breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. So try to stay off your toes. Try to put that weight in your back body. Lift that front body. It's exactly the opposite of how we spend all day. We're just curled forward and we're super heavy in that front body. And you need to be light. All right, same thing. Other side. First you sit back into that awkward chair. Make sure you use whatever support you need to bring that opposite leg, the other side up. Sitting back into your pigeon. Inhaling and exhaling. remember, don't use your toes, or try not to use your toes. Coming to standing, inhaling and exhaling, breathing full and deep. And then both feet on the ground. Receive. Stay with your breath. And then make your way into a downward dog. I love a downward dog. If you go to any of my yoga classes, take any of my yoga classes, we balance, we do downward dog. Inhale and exhale, stay with your breath. You can always go through a flow. And then eventually you're going to find yourself down, resting in that child, come into that complete and total reset posture. Stay with your breath. And then once you have caught your breath in your child, you're going to come up to seated. Take time to find that comfortable place to sit. Get a drink of water. Inhale and exhale. Remember, your legs don't have to be like super tight up and around you and in some sort of pretzel move. They just need to be there to support you, right? No matter what. So you're always being careful of your delicate toes. You're never going to a place where they do feel tingly. Inhaling and exhaling, you're pressing down. And then bring those arms into that heart and then lift up with that upper body. And you're going to inhale and then exhale, rotate. Doesn't matter which way you go. I'm going to go to the left. And then duck down towards that left knee and then back towards center. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So you're lowering down over each side. This isn't a big or a fast move. Inhaling and exhaling, and then the next time you're through center, you're going to pause. Your arms can be wherever. Do a few shoulder rolls here, and more than likely you came up and then back and around, and the next time they're up by your ears, I want you to pause and I want you to bring them forward and back and around and see how that feels. You really have to think about it. Can you do one each way? It's kind of weird, but you can if you think about it. And then after a few, you can stop messing around, just come to rest. Notice how you feel, breathing full and deep. And then make your way to your back. Keep your lower body heavy, starting with those windshield wipers. Bring that pelvis into that place of support so you're always pulling that tail down, lifting those hip flexors. Only if it does not hurt your back do you rock and circle, picking those feet up. If it does hurt to do that, then leave your feet on the ground and just windshield wiper back and forth. And then let your legs come into tabletop, and then let your elbows bend. I just saw this. It looked like it was kind of cool. So you're trying to bring your knees to your elbows, and then you're going to send one leg out and you can leave your upper body up, and if it's too much, bring your upper body down. So you're sending out a leg. This is hard. Couple more. And then hug in, and then release. letting yourself come down. Of course, spend time doing whatever feels good. If you want to do another twist or a twist laying down, if you want to come into happy baby, come into happy baby. Do whatever feels good to you at the end of this yoga practice. And if you've got 7, 8, 10 minutes in order to lay in relaxation, I encourage you to do that. Try not to just be scrolling on your phone or daydreaming about what you should be doing. Instead, just be with your breath. And if laying down doesn't really feel comfortable right now, you can always sit in meditation. You don't have to sit in the middle of the room or without support. You can sit with support on your back, let your eyes close, and just let this practice integrate into your muscle memory so you can draw on it later in your life. That is what you're doing. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Take care. Until next time. Bye. Peace.